Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Bank Shot Breakdown. Warning you over 5 college basketball games for Friday, March 22nd, 2024. It's the second day of the first round of the NCAA tournament. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my college basketball Bank Shot best bet, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Friday in college hoops. First up, we see Northwestern and FAU. This one's going to be 12:15 Eastern. It's going to be on CBS. This is your 8-9 matchup in the East region. FAU, I would say it was a pretty underwhelming regular season and conference tournament showing for the Owls. As last year was a Final Four run. This season, you bring back a lot of production, including some of your star players and your head coach, who probably got some nice offers from teams looking to fill that position as well. But, FAU, while they started the season pretty strong, they were 7-1 in non-conference play. They just had, had some bad losses. They lost to Florida Gulf Coast. They lost to Temple in that conference tournament, and they were in and out of the AP polls. I would say the expectations were, pretty sky high. And FAU, while they're still here in the big dance, they failed to reach a lot of those expectations, but they still have their chance to go on another big run here. And it starts with this game against a Northwestern team that I think is solid, but kind of dealt with the injury bug this season, and I think that kind of held them back, especially down the stretch of the regular season into the conference tournament. They lost those games to Iowa and Michigan State to end the year, and then they go into the conference tournament, lose that first game against Wisconsin by 9 points. To me, this team is fundamentally not the strongest, especially on the glass. I think FAU has a nice advantage there. I also don't love the fact that Northwestern both doesn't get to the free throw line much and takes quite a few fouls. So FAU should have the advantage of the charity stripe in this ball game. And while Golden's not an amazing free throw shooter, guys like John L. Davis, who is like 86% from the line, should be able to exploit that, against this aggressive Northwestern defense. To me, I think FAU is still a team you just don't want to bet against, or you don't want to give up on. They're still a potent offense. The defense, I think, is underrated. They've got the tournament experience and overall Division I experience, the 43rd most experienced team in college basketball. So I like their chances to at least get this first-round win. It's a tough draw for either of these teams having to play UConn in the next round, and I'm not so sure they'll fare well in that game. But in this one, I'm going to go with FAU. Next up, we see Colgate and Baylor. This one's going to be a 14-3 matchup in the West region, 12:40 Eastern on True TV. I do think Baylor will be susceptible to an upset or, getting taken out early in the tournament in a later round, but I just don't think that Colgate is the team to take them down. I think Baylor matches up really well in this game. I think they got a pretty good draw, and I like their chances to win this game and cover. Colgate has been a program in the last couple of seasons that's been known to have a pretty potent offense, and while they've shot the ball well this year, 54th best in effective field goal percentage, and they do a pretty good job of taking care of the basketball, they're still ranked 209 in the nation in adjusted offensive efficiency because they're a miserable offensive rebounding team. They don't get to the free throw line much, and when they do, they have a 68% free throw percentage as a team that's ranked 315th in the nation. So this offense becomes a little bit one-dimensional, and I worry about that. Baylor can score in many ways, and their offense is potent. I think they'll be able to put up a ton of points in this game. Colgate's defense was good on paper, but the shot quality numbers aren't the best. They didn't force a lot of turnovers, so they're going to have to rely on Baylor missing high percentage looks, and I don't think you can rely on that. This is a really good shooting team, 5th in the country in three-point shooting. I think Baylor's offense just too much in this game. So like I said, I think Baylor may be in trouble, maybe in the second round or the Sweet 16, but I think they take care of business in this one. Next up, we see a 13-4 matchup between Yale and Auburn. This one, 4:15 Eastern on TNT. This is going to be in the East region. Now, Auburn, they won the SEC championship. They finished KenPom at the regular season 4th in KenPom, and yet they're still a 4 seed in the tournament. I think, if I'm Auburn, I'm not too happy with my seeding or my matchup against Yale. I have Auburn going to the Final Four in one of my brackets. I still think this team is poised to make a solid run this year, but I think in terms of against the spread in this game, I think this is going to be a close one. Yale, they're a solid team. They do the fundamentals right. Something you have to do against Auburn. 2 things you really have to do. Take care of the basketball. Auburn's defense is very aggressive. They're going to force a lot of turnovers against most of their opponents, but Yale is top 20 in turnover percentage offensively. They should be able to take care of the basketball. The second thing you have to be able to do is get those defensive rebounds. You cannot give Auburn, an already good shooting team, second chance looks. Auburn feasts on the offensive glass a lot of those games in the SEC and in the SEC tournament, but Yale is actually a top 15 defensive rebounding team. So fundamentally, I think Yale actually matches up pretty well in this game. Yale's a solid shooting team. They improved those three-point numbers as the season went on. And defensively, they're top 100 in adjusted defensive efficiency. Like I said, if I'm Auburn, I'm not too happy with this draw. I still think Auburn has enough talent and one of the best coaches in college basketball to get them through to the next round. But I think it's going to be by single digits in this game. I'm going to take the points with Yale in this one. Next up, we see a 16-1 matchup in the Midwest region between Grambling and Purdue at 7:25 Eastern on TBS. Grambling had to take down Montana State in that 16-seed playing game, and a game where Grambling was a 4.5 point underdog. They were down for, I would say a majority of that ball game, but they were able to find the overtime. They forced overtime there, and they were dominant in that overtime period, winning by 7 points, 88-81. And while we've backed SWAC teams all season long in non-conference play and conference play alike, I can't get there with Grambling here. I think the run ends for the Tigers. I think Purdue, I think we're getting a lot of value with Purdue in this first round matchup, but also overall to win the national championship at plus 700 odds. That's why I have Purdue to win the national championship. They're my pick this season in my brackets because a lot of people are writing them off because of last year's 16-1 upset and the fact that Matt Painter's not been great in the tournament. And, the program in general has struggled in this tournament. And also the Big Ten Conference in general has not done great in the NCAA tournament. But I still think Purdue, when you look at this team, they have everything that you would want in a national championship contender. They've got one of the best players in college basketball, if not the best player, in Zach Edey, who's also, very experienced now in the NCAA tournament. They're very balanced defensively. They're top 25 in adjusted defensive efficiency. Shot quality-wise, even better. They're a great defensive rebounding team. They don't take too many fouls. They defend the perimeter really well. And then on offense, they're a great three-point shooting team. So even though they have Zach Edey, who's, 7'4", and it's going to dominate the paint most games, they also have a lot of guys on the perimeter that can do a lot of damage, and they're 40.8% from three this season. They take a good amount of threes as well. And I just think Purdue has all the things you would want in a contender. And I think because of the last year's upset and a lot of people talking bad about this team, we're getting a lot of value with the Boilermakers in this matchup. And I think we're going to get a lot of value with this team in general this tournament. So give me Purdue in this one. I'm going to lay the points. Next up, it's James Madison and Wisconsin. This one, a 12-5 matchup in the South region. It's going to be 9:40 Eastern start time on CBS. James Madison is a very popular 12-5 upset pick, and I understand why. They're 31-3 overall. They're a very fast-paced, fun team to watch on a 13-game win streak. They have the upset win over Michigan State at the beginning of the season, and they're a pretty solid defensive team as well. But Wisconsin's also a really tough team, and I think it's honestly a bad matchup for James Madison. Wisconsin's going to look to slow this game down, which they've done all season long. And, I don't think that's going to be very comfortable for James Madison overall. Wisconsin, a very experienced team that made a nice run in the Big Ten tournament. So they've, shown that they can play a neutral site games and tournament-style games. They took down Maryland, Northwestern, another, tournament team there, and Purdue, a 1 seed in this year's tournament, in overtime in that Big Ten tournament. And they also, played really competitive against Illinois in that Big Ten championship in a game where Wisconsin had a 10-point lead in the second half of that one. It was a close back-and-forth game. Illinois made a few, clutch shots at the end, and that was a difference maker. But Wisconsin was competitive there. I like their chances at least in this game, but potentially to make a nice run here in this year's tournament. They take care of the basketball. They're a great rebounding team, especially on the defensive side. They do have to work on that perimeter defense, but shot quality-wise, this defense is underrated. So I think they step up here in this big dance. And James Madison, they're a team that, like I said, looks to speed up the game on both offense and defense. But I don't think Wisconsin's going to play into that. I think Wisconsin makes James Madison a little bit uncomfortable on both ends of the court, honestly. And honestly, we saw James Madison play not the best at times in the Sun Belt Conference, which was a pretty weak conference this year. We saw in the conference tournament they won barely against Texas State. They had some issues against Georgia State on the road to end the regular season. So I'm a little bit worried about JMU away from home as we see them here at this neutral site. So give me Wisconsin here. I'm going to lay the points. Should be a great game. I think Wisconsin takes care of business at the end. And that's it. Those are the games for Friday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.